He is a SHRM and HRCI certified HR professional with over 20 years of experience in BFSI and NBFC industries. His area of interest is content writing and wrote articles for ETHR World on how hiring trends will change post COVID 19 and how companies can strategically leave a positive impact on Gen Z. He's also a speaker and appeared on platforms like HR Success Talk and business schools like Amity Business School. On the volunteering side, he is with HR Success Talk as President Global Expansion, where he is establishing and developing the global chapters. In addition, he is also a mentor and career coach for students and professionals who are in the early stages of their careers. In today's episode, let us learn more about Praveen Ratna's career journey and get his insight on HR analytics.
Hello. Hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, The Guiding Voice for a Better Future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. Dear listeners, in every episode, we interact with industry experts or thought leaders or academicians or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help each one of you learn great things. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact about the IT world or technology towards the end. So stay tuned till the end. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is your host Naveen Samala and with my co-host Sudhakar Naganla. So folks, as Sudhakar mentioned, today we are going to discuss a topic, analytics in and for human resources. And we are pleased to welcome Praveen to our show. Praveen, thank you so much for being part of TGV's journey in shaping the lives and careers of millions across the globe.
Thank you, Naveen and Sudhakar, for giving me this opportunity to come on the platform of TGV. Thank you once again.
It's our pleasure to host you, Praveen. Can we get started?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Praveen, can you please share about the top three skills that contributed you to reach the current position that you are in?
Sure. So, growing in any career, two things are important: attributes and attitude. Because attitude defines your altitude. So, attitude is more important than skills. I'm not saying that skills are not important, but attitude is important. So that if you are having the skills, but if you are lacking in your attitude, it is very likely to get failed. What has helped me to increase in my career, to grow in my career, is a first thing, proper understanding of the business. Keep evolving your learning and do it for do it for the sure attitude that okay, I will do it, because understanding of the business, why I am saying, is the most important thing. Until unless you are not understanding the business, it is very difficult to get the work done through in a proper way. So these three things have worked for me.
So, attitude determines altitude. Nice quote. And understanding the business. So, Praveen, you talked about the top three skills. Now, coming back to today's topic about HR analytics, can you briefly talk about what do we mean by analytics in and for HR?
Okay, so analytics in HR, this is the term of the combination of two. One is analytics, and second one is as a department of HR. Analytics we can use in everywhere, but when it comes to HR, these days it is a very hot topic, right? Because of pandemic and all, people has started working on this area. So basically, it's a data-driven approach which helps you to identify your strength and weaknesses, where you are lacking or on which areas you are strong. And analytics is not always finding about the shortcomings, it is finding about the your strength also, because when you find your strength, you will maintain that strength or improve that one, and for the shortcomings you will work on your shortcomings to improve in a better way. So analytics works in the both direction. Coming back to the main topic, where we use the analytics in HR. In HR, we can use multiple ways of analytics. So it is a very wide topic. Just to brief down, analytics can help you how to reduce your turnover. What is the cause of turnover? Because causation is more important than the ratio. that what is the attrition percentage is there, the causation is more important. So you need to find out what is the cause which is hampering your attrition rate. This can help you there. Finding out how good your hiring process is, like time to hire, cost per hire, because hiring is the term where recruiters spend most of the time, from publishing the job description till onboarding. A lot of time is consumed. How we can reduce that time, how can we reduce that costing, because nowadays costing are more relevant. Earlier it was like if it is 10% up and down, then people don't mind about that, but nowadays costing is more important. So the cost per hire is the important aspect which can give you the better result in future. Then find out which segment for you is working well. Like as a company, if I am hiring from campus and lateral both, so which is working for me the most, whether experience is giving me the better results or the campus. So or if I want to further drill down on the campus side, so suppose I have recruited from 5 campuses. So which are these campuses who are productive for me? Out of 5, all 5 will not be productive for me. Out of 5, 3 are productive for me. So I will find out who are those 3 campuses who are productive for me, so that in future we will focus on that. Similarly, on the lateral side, which industry is working for me, what experience age is working for me, what is the age of candidate is working for you. So there are a lot of permutation combination which you can use in HR analytics. Again, the industry type, like someone is from the same industry, someone is from the different industry, someone is from the urban background, someone from the rural background. So there are a lot of things which can help you. Then how your team is spread within the department, like you have the strength of 1,000 people, so there could be a chance that in one department there are excess employees and in other one there are short. So we can analyze that thing, that the my team is equally spread or not, how you are compensating your employees. So compensation as per industry where you are placed. Then if we come out on the training part, so how the training is going, like the results of the training shows you the efficiency of the training, right? So when it comes to the analytics, we identify that what are the training sessions which are more productive than the other, which set of training is more productive. So all these things are used in the collaboration or in the solo. How your team is performing, starting from individual level to unit level and state level and region level, every level, how your team is performing, who is performing better, who is not performing, then who is not performing, so why he is not performing. So causation is important thing, and we work mainly on these aspects in the HR analytics firm.
That was a set of comprehensive inputs, and as you mentioned, like analytics are used everywhere, and you have highlighted one important thing. Generally people think, okay, how do we identify the shortcomings or what is lagging, right? But you brought in an interesting perspective saying that, hey, it is also used to understand our strengths, right? And in addition to that, working on overcoming those shortcomings. And you have covered various aspects with regard to the HR process life cycle, be it from recruitment, training, and even the campus hiring part of it, what works well, what did not work well. So likewise, I think there seems to be a lot of benefits by leveraging these analytics so that management can take some effective decisions for the benefit of the organization. So thank you so much for sharing those insights. Now, probably talk a different topic, okay, based on our conversation that we had, right? From your HR hat, do you think this domain switching is beneficial to the individuals and companies? Because especially in IT, we will not see much of, I would say, cross-pollination, wherein leaders from a different domain altogether come and join IT, or IT people go and join a different domain. That rarely happens. But when it comes to other domains like FMCG to automobile to fintech to edtech, so on and so forth, right? So in case if somebody is moving from FMCG to IT, or automobile to finance, do you think it is beneficial to both the individuals and companies, or what is your perspective overall?
So from if you talk about the perspective of cross domain switching, yes, of course it is very feasible. And the basic thing what we need is to understand your business and domain, what I have already mentioned in the first question. Because if you understand your business, there is a very fair chance to get yourself succeed in that role. Let's say someone is switching from FMCG to financial services or to automobile or to banking or NBFC. So what does he need to understand? Because he understand the basic concept of the sales part, how to conversate, how to present, how to fix up the calls and other things, the other basic attributes. He is well aware about that. He need to understand the product only. He has to align with the product and understand with the concept of the business and product understanding. So these are the some attributes which he can align and he can move forward. In my last organization, I have seen there are a couple of employees were there from the different domain, from the different industry, and they joined as a financial services industry, and they did very well. The main point is again understanding of business and clear concept. That is the main point which I always mention. That otherwise it will be very difficult for you even in the same industry. So be prepared for that, and there is no as such hard that cross domain switching is something which is very difficult or something. It is very much handy.
Wonderful. I think main point that is resonating throughout this conversation is about understanding the business, right? In case if you are aware of the nitty-gritties of the business, the way this domain operates overall, then there is nothing stopping you. And
Yes.
in addition to that, your foundation should be very strong, okay, with regard to the basics of the function. And in that case, probably this domain switching will not be that challenging. And as you mentioned, there is no hard and fast rule that you have to stick to a particular domain throughout your career. So thank you for those amazing insights. So from your HR hat again, Praveen, talking about the post-COVID hiring scenarios. Okay, how should the candidates prepare? Can you highlight a few important points which the candidates have to have on their mind when preparing for post-COVID hiring?
Yes, so situation is bit tricky. So because post COVID the scenarios have changed, and organizations are still in a conscious mode because of third wave and all. So they are still not opening the pocket very frequently or very much. So the situation is tricky, but companies are started hiring as per their plans. They have reduced their plans. That is the other thing, but they have started their hiring. But one thing what I would say in this scenario, candidate must keep themselves open rather than keeping themselves in the boundary like a specific job role, a specific location, or a specific compensation package. So keeping apart these things aside, candidates should be open because situations are tricky, and due to this remote working, situations are even more tricky because nowadays what is happening, if I am sitting in Delhi, I can join an organization which is in Bombay or based out of Bangalore because they are pretty much happy with the remote working. So one need to be very open about that okay, because life what I understand is life is a game of chess, right? So to move forward, might be you have to take one or two step back. So suppose on the pre-COVID era, one is working in the bit higher position, manager or senior manager position or something. So if he is getting the chance to back into the business through the managerial role, one step down, he should not hesitate on that point because the main purpose is to get back into the business, then show your skills, show your passion, and regain the previous position or get more success out of it. So you should not keep yourself boundary because when you are keeping yourself in the boundary, you are restricting your opportunities. So that is the one thing. Companies are, why I said is tricky, because keeping cost in mind, they are focusing on internal mobility like rehiring and campus hiring. So these are the few things which companies are looking because the cost is minimum there. Internal mobility, there is a zero cost. Rehiring, there is a minimum cost. Campus hiring, there is a no cost. So a lot of permutations, combinations are going in the companies. So one has to be very much clear about that, what he want to do. Rather than keeping himself in boundary, keep yourself open because the first idea is to get yourself in job, and after some time you can start exploring new options. You can perform better, your skill, it will be very easy for you to get into previous roles. Situation outside is not rosy, so I'll always push yourself into hard things, and finding new things. Learning curve should not stop. Even if you are out of job, you should always try to learn something, upskill yourself, so that whenever you get the opportunity, you grab the opportunity and move ahead in your career.
Absolutely. Situations are tricky and dicey, no doubts there. So, keeping yourself open without boundaries or restrictions and ensuring that we always constantly keep upskilling ourselves will definitely help us in getting better opportunities. So, Praveen, that is all outside view.
One thing I would add for the candidate perspective, don't get panic. It can even make your situation worse. Rather than panicking yourself, keep upskilling, keep aware about your surroundings, what is happening, and do something which can help you to land in a better position rather than panicking yourself.
Great point, actually. You should always keep upskilling so that you can stay current and relevant to the industry. Sure. But as I was mentioning, Praveen, the way we are looking at it is more from the external candidate looking for an opportunity in the industry. How about the internal employees? The current situation, how should the employees prepare and approach these appraisal discussions, the performance and compensation, merit increment discussions? What should he or she be focusing on?
This question is again very relevant, and from the perspective of companies as well as candidates, because both are looking for the cost. Right, this is a very important question. So as I said earlier, most of the things are data driven. So when it comes to performance appraisal, compensation discussion, always remember number speaks aloud. So if you are having numbers in your kitty, the discussion will be more specific and concrete. So there are few things you need to understand and keep yourself while discussing with your manager, that what is your performance number. First of all, where you are in the current organization structure, at what compensation you are, insight on your compensation as compared to the market. Like if someone is working as a manager of different specific department, then they can compare what the compensation is going in the market at the same level and at the same industry or at the same department. So these numbers will help them out. And what is the industry pattern in appraisals? What are the average increment are happening in the industry? So if 2-3 things are will be handy with you, there are very fair chance that you can do a very good discussion with your manager and get it sorted.
That was a wonderful suggestion, actually, because we often come across this smart stuff, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and target when it comes to goal setting. Similarly, when it comes to the appraisal discussions, maybe we can also follow the STAR approach: situation, task, action, and result. And you struck the right chord in terms of coming up with some numbers. Okay, not only for talking about your performance, but also benchmark yourself with the industry numbers so that you can have a better negotiation, and that way it will be a win-win situation for you as well as your boss. So thank you, that was a fantastic suggestion. Yeah, you have anything to add, Praveen?
Yeah, because it always helps you to get your understanding clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like suppose my aspirations are I should get X amount of package. This is my aspirations. But how the industry is running? If industry is running on X minus 2, how one can give me X? So keeping aspirations are aspirations can be anything, but keeping that aspirations into realistic world is something which is different and important.
Amazing. I think that was a fantastic conversation so far, Praveen. Let us lighten up the conversation today, and we would like to ask you a few interesting rapid fire questions with your consent. And if you are okay, let's get started.
Yeah, sure.
Wonderful. Thank you for the spirit. Really appreciate it. So, moving on to fire the very first bullet out of the rapid fire. What is the most adventurous thing that you have done so far, Praveen?
Meeting my girlfriend with her boyfriend.
Amazing.
Wow. Amazing. Fair enough. Yeah. What is your favorite food?
Food.
Yeah.
Dhokla.
Wow. Okay. Moving on to the next question. What is a hidden talent that Praveen has and no one knows about it? Probably you want to disclose it to TGV audience.
Even I am trying to find out.
Okay. Yeah, maybe by the next interview, we want to have you find out and share it with our audience. All right. So moving on with the next question out of rapid fire. What has been a question on your mind for which you never got answered so far?
Boss doesn't understand that he was junior once a time.
Fair enough. Wow, that was so good. And moving on to the last question from the rapid fire. What is one message that you would like to give to your own younger version?
Good and bad times comes. Always believe in your strength. Work on your weakness and challenge yourself.
Wow, simply amazing. So, thank you so much for being so candid and so sportive in the rapid fire round. With that, I would like to hand over the session back to mainstream. Over to Sudhakar.
Thank you, Naveen. And that has been a phenomenal rapid fire, I would say, Praveen. Boss not understanding that he himself was at one point of time in his or her life was a junior as well, right? Absolutely. So one final question for this session, Praveen. What is your one piece of advice for those who want to make big in their careers?
I would just like to advise them there is no shortcut for success. If you will take shortcut routes, you will end up in some of the situation which might be you cannot handle. So rather than taking a shortcut, understand your business, its flow, and most importantly, believe in yourself, hunger to learn, and work with never die attitude. Because I always focus on attitude and understanding of business. These are the 2 points where I am always focusing, and the entire show I came across around 2 to 3 times on this point, because these are the points where you can actually work yourself, because there are two things like internal and external circumstances, right? So you cannot deal with the external circumstances, but what is internal you can always deal and you can always get it better. So make your house strong, everything will be fine, and you will get the success.
Thank you, Praveen. I think, like you rightly mentioned, all across the discussion, these three themes came out very clearly. Ensure you understand the business, only then you will be able to provide the value, and your positive attitude always helps you, and always keep learning. Thank you so much, Praveen. It was indeed great having this conversation with you. Thanks for taking time. It is amazing to have this conversation on analytics in and for human resources and life at large. Thank you so much for taking time. We really appreciate. I'm sure our TZV audience are going to love every bit of this conversation.
Thank you, Naveen, and thank you, Sudhakar, for calling me on this platform. And I hope I would be able to add some value addition in your platform. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Pleasure hosting you, and thanks again for being part of TGV's journey in shaping the lives and careers of millions across the globe. All right. So, with that being said, let us move on to the trivia segment of today's episode. So, folks, today we are in the generation of robots and robotic vacuum cleaners, because definitely house cleaning and mopping is some of the redundant, mundane, repetitive activity which is so boring, and robotic vacuum cleaners will come handy. So here comes a question on the robotic vacuum cleaner. And what is the name of the robotic vacuum cleaner which is made and sold by iRobo? I know you're thinking, but let me disclose the answer as per the ritual. Roomba is the name of the robotic vacuum cleaner which is sold by iRobo. And I'm sure in the next few years, Roomba will become part and parcel of our lives. Interesting, isn't it? Thank you so much for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time, bye-bye. And we are signing off for today. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful guest.